at him. Don't look at me.
They thought they were just breaking another prisoner. But these arrogant guards had no idea they were forging a legendary American hero.
Come on, hit me!
The movie opens with fighter planes flying in formation, heading toward their target. Suddenly, anti-aircraft fire erupts from below. The soldiers barely manage to escape, but they hold their course and drop their payload on the target. Moments later, they leave the area. The scene shifts, and we meet a young boy named Louis. Mischievous and rebellious, he spends his days drinking alcohol, smoking, and causing trouble. When his parents discover this, they punish him harshly, but it has no effect. Louis continues down the same path. His elder brother Pete is the complete opposite. One day, Louis is caught drinking on the ground. Some men chase him, and he runs away at incredible speed. Pete sees this and is stunned by how fast his younger brother can run. Pete approaches him and says, "You could be a great runner. You're fast." Louis dismisses it. "There's nothing special about me. Anyone can run like this. I'm not like you." But Pete encourages him, insisting that with practice, Louis could become a champion. From that day, Pete begins training him. Soon, a racing competition is held at Louis's school. Louis enters but deliberately runs slowly, uninterested in winning. Suddenly, Pete shouts at him to run faster. Louis's pride is stung. He surges forward at full speed, shocking everyone, even the coach. Louis wins the race. Time passes. Pete rides his bicycle while Louis runs beside him, growing stronger with each stride. Louis matures, and in the next scene, he competes in another race. The prize, a chance to qualify for the Olympics. The race begins. Louis gives everything he has. Another runner tries to trip him, but Louis refuses to be stopped. He pushes harder, overtakes everyone, and wins. His parents beam with pride, and Pete is overjoyed. Louis runs so fast that he sets a new record, 4 minutes and 1 second. No one has ever run that fast before. His performance earns him a place in the Olympics. When he boards the train for the games, he asks his brother Pete to come along. Pete jokes, "Why should I watch you lose? You're not going to win there." Louis smiles and replies, "I know I won't win this time. But in the next Olympics, I will." With that, he takes his seat. On the way, Pete gives him advice. No matter how big the problem, always have faith in yourself. Never lose hope. Louis arrives at the Olympics. His race begins, but at first, he struggles. His family listens anxiously on the radio, saddened by his slow start. Yet they remind themselves, the world runs on hope. In the final lap, Louis recalls his brother's words. Suddenly, he surges forward with incredible speed. He completes the last lap in just 56 seconds, a new world record. This was the 1936 Olympics. The stadium erupts, chanting his name. Back home, his parents and Pete are overwhelmed with joy. Their pride knows no bounds. Louis sets his sights on the 1940 Olympics in Tokyo, determined to win gold for his country. But his dream is shattered. World War II begins in 1939, and the Tokyo Games are cancelled. The story shifts to 1943, the present timeline. Louis has now joined the American Army. Alongside 2 comrades, he takes part in an air mission targeting a Japanese camp. The mission succeeds, just like the opening scene of the movie. But on the way back, disaster strikes. Their plane is badly damaged. One of his companions is severely injured. Forced to attempt a landing, Louis realizes this will not be easy. The pilot tries his best to control the damaged plane. One of the tires breaks, but he refuses to lose hope and manages to land safely. Later, we see Louis still running, while his friend drives alongside him in a jeep. Suddenly, some fellow soldiers arrive with new orders. They must search for men stranded at sea. Louis and his crew take off again in another plane. But this aircraft is already badly damaged. Not long after takeoff, one engine catches fire. Moments later, the second engine fails. With no choice left, the plane plunges straight into the ocean. Only Louis and 2 companions survive, Mac and Phil. The rest of the crew is lost. The 3 men escape the wreckage and climb into a small airboat, barely saving their lives. Mac, shaken, tells Louis, "We won't survive this." But Louis refuses to give up. "How can you surrender so soon? You're a soldier. We will survive. Searching the boat, Louis finds a small stash of food, a few chocolates and a bottle of water. He tells his companions, "We'll ration this. One piece of chocolate in the morning, one in the evening. We don't know when rescue will come." Now the three men drift in the middle of the endless sea. Everywhere they look, there is only water. They spend the night on the boat, exhausted and hungry. The next morning, hope appears. A plane passes overhead. Overjoyed, they fire a flare. But the plane doesn't see them and flies away. Their hope collapses. Then Louis notices the chocolate packet is empty. Furious, he yells at Mac. Mac admits, "I was hungry, so I ate it all." Louis shouts, "Do you realize what you've done? This will cost us more than you can imagine." Days pass. 3 long days without food or water. The toll is written on their faces. Weak and desperate, they pray to God for survival. And though no rescue comes, their hunger is briefly eased. A large bird lands near them. Louis signals to his companions, if they want to survive, they must catch it. Moments later, Mac grabs the bird. They eat, but the raw meat makes them sick. Instead of strength, they are left vomiting. Phil suggests another plan. Why don't we catch fish? Soon, they begin pulling fish from the sea, eating them raw to stay alive. The taste is unbearable, but when survival is at stake, anything works. But their struggle is far from over. That night, a violent storm lashes the ocean. Towering waves crash against their small boat. Fear grips them. Then, rain pours down. After so many days, they finally drink fresh water, filling their stomachs. By day 27, hope flickers again. Another plane passes overhead. They fire a flare, desperate for rescue. But this plane is Japanese, not American. Instead of saving them, it opens fire. The three men dive into the water as bullets rip through their boat. When the attack ends, only one damaged raft remains. Days stretch into weeks. By now, they have been adrift for 45 days, a feat no human should endure with so little food and water. Mac cannot withstand the suffering. His strength fades, and he dies. Heartbroken, Louis and Phil commit his body to the sea. Now only 2 remain. They wait for death, but fate has other plans. One day, under the burning sun, a shadow appears. At first, it feels like salvation. But this shadow is not a tree, nor a friendly vessel. It is a Japanese ship, and it brings a new darkness into their lives. Japanese soldiers capture Louis and Phil, taking them deep into the jungle to a Japanese camp. The head of the camp recognizes Louis immediately. He has a newspaper clipping with Louis's photo from the Olympics. But this is the time of World War II. America and Japan are enemies, and Louis is now seen as one of them. To show their hatred, the soldiers lock Louis and Phil in a dark room and beat them brutally. The next day, they order the men to strip and kneel. Louis cannot bear the humiliation. Tears fall from his eyes. It is a deeply emotional moment. After a few days, they are transferred to another camp, far larger, filled with thousands of American prisoners treated like slaves. Terror hangs over the place. Torture is everywhere. The camp is run by Corporal Watanabe, a man who despises Americans. He tells the prisoners, "You are all Americans, and America is our enemy. You will be treated as such." Louis stares at him while everyone else keeps their eyes down. Watanabe notices. He steps forward and commands, "Look into my eyes." Louis obeys. Instantly, Watanabe strikes him with a stick and snarls, "Never look at me." This is no ordinary camp. Even strong men lose their courage here. At night, the prisoners sleep in filthy conditions, places so bad that even animals would refuse to live there. But they are helpless. The next morning, Watanabe addresses the prisoners again. "One of you is a cook. One of you is an Olympic runner. Who is the runner?" Louis raises his hand. He is forced into a race against one of Watanabe's men. But Louis is exhausted, injured, and weak. He collapses mid-run. Watanabe storms over, furious. "You are nothing. You are not worthy of the Olympics." He beats Louis mercilessly, targeting him above all others. Perhaps Watanabe knows Louis is not an ordinary soldier. He senses Louis's spirit, a man who refuses to break. In the camp, some soldiers attempt to escape. Their plan fails. When the corporal discovers it, he treats them like animals, beating them mercilessly. One day, while working, Louis and Phil glance at the sky. They whisper to each other. American planes are close. They could attack here any time. The corporal notices them talking. That night, he drags them from their sleep and lashes them with a belt. Days later, Japanese radio officers arrive at the camp. They summon Louis. The American army has told your family you are dead. Do you want to tell them you're alive? Louis agrees. He speaks into the radio. This is the first time I've spoken in 2 years. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm in a training camp in Japan. He lies to protect them. He adds, Dad, keep your gun ready. When I return, we'll go hunting together. Mom, I miss your food so much. Merry Christmas. His voice breaks. Tears fall. Back home, his family hears the broadcast. His mother cries uncontrollably. The moment is heartbreaking. Afterward, a Japanese officer hands Louis a paper. Read this on the radio, he orders. The paper is filled with propaganda against America. Louis refuses. I cannot betray my country. The officer insists, if you sign, you'll live comfortably, like an American. Louis refuses again. He is sent back to the camp. There, the corporal greets him with twisted satisfaction. I knew from the first day you were strong, like me. We could have been friends. But you are American, and I hate Americans. You have one flaw, you don't listen. Today, I'll teach you how to listen. The corporal drags Louis in front of all the American prisoners. He orders them, step forward and strike him. But the prisoners refuse. Suddenly, the corporal brings out Phil, who is gravely injured. He threatens, if you don't start hitting Louis, I'll beat Phil until he dies. Louis shouts to his fellow soldiers, do it. Hit me. Reluctantly, they obey. Blow after blow rains down. Louis is battered and broken, but in sacrificing himself, he saves his friend's life. It is a heartbreaking moment. Watching Louis endure such pain, you cannot help but feel his suffering. Days pass. Winter arrives. Snow blankets the camp. To escape their misery, the prisoners gather for a comedy show, laughing briefly to forget their pain. Suddenly, the corporal appears. He sits beside Louis and says, I've been promoted. I'm leaving for Amori. Louis feels relief. At last, the tormentor is gone. But fate is cruel. A few days later, the camp is bombarded. Explosions kill Japanese soldiers, and the camp itself burns to the ground. The next morning, the prisoners are transferred to a new camp, in Amori. When they arrive, they stand in line. The in-charge steps forward. To Louis's horror, it is none other than the corporal. His knees nearly buckle, but his friends hold him up. Louis knows, the nightmare is not over. This camp is even worse than the last. The prisoners here are weak, injured, yet still forced to work. The labor is brutal. They must haul coal from ships in freezing conditions. One day, while Louis is working, a prisoner falls from a height and dies instantly. Fear spreads among the men. A few days later, Louis himself is shoved by a Japanese soldier. He crashes down, suffering serious injuries. The prisoners are tortured daily, but even after falling, Louis refuses to give up. He rises again and continues working. Yet how long can any man endure such cold, hunger, and exhaustion? One day, Louis pauses to rest. A Japanese soldier drags him to the corporal, accusing him of not working. Now comes one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. The corporal orders Louis to lift a massive wooden beam. Louis is barely able to stand, but he summons every ounce of strength and raises it. The corporal commands, "Put it on your head." Louis obeys. Then he tells a soldier, if he drops it, shoot him. The camp falls silent. The beam begins to sink lower. All eyes turn to Louis. Will he collapse? Will the soldier fire? At that moment, Louis remembers his brother's words. Whatever happens in life, never lose faith in yourself. He is not just a prisoner. He is an Olympic runner. He cannot surrender. With a roar, Louis thrusts the beam high again. He locks eyes with the corporal. The corporal cannot bear it. "Stop staring at me," he shouts. But Louis refuses. Furious, the corporal rushes forward, striking him again and again. Louis does not look away. His mind flashes back to his training, his family, his brother. Their faces give him strength. When the corporal realizes the blows are not breaking him, he resorts to punching. But eventually, even he grows exhausted. He collapses, defeated. Louis, drained of all strength, lies on the ground through the night. Morning comes, and he is still there. A few days later, the prisoners are gathered together. A Japanese soldier announces, "For the new future of our country, you are being given a chance to bathe." Everyone fears they are about to be executed. The prisoners step into the river to bathe, believing it may be their last moment. Suddenly, a plane appears in the sky. As it comes closer, joy erupts. It is American. An American plane flying over Japan means only one thing: the war is over. They are free. After endless suffering, freedom has finally arrived. The planes begin dropping supplies, food and water, like precious care packages from the sky. Louis, however, is still haunted. He wonders why the corporal hated him so deeply. He walks to the corporal's cabin, but finds it empty. The bird has already fled. Louis sits quietly, staring at old childhood photos. Finally, Louis returns home to America. The first thing he does is kneel and kiss the soil of his country. Moments later, he embraces his family, tears streaming down his face. The story ends here. This entire film is based on a true story. At the end, we see real photographs of Louis Zamperini. We learn that he married in 1947 and had 2 children. His friend Phil also married. The corporal, known as the Bird, disappeared for years. No one knew where he went. Many years later, Louis returned to Japan hoping to meet him, but they never crossed paths. In the end, Louis Zamperini fulfilled his lifelong dream. He ran in the Olympics again, at the age of 80. As the saying goes, records are made to be broken, and dreams are meant to be fulfilled. Friends, if this powerful story of resilience moved you, make sure to like this video and share it with others. Comment below and tell us which part of Louis's journey inspired you the most. For more professional movie recaps and cinematic deep dives, subscribe to Cinemaned. Thank you for watching.